Daring Greatly. Introduction. Daring Greatly by Brené Brown is one of the most powerful and transformative self-help books about vulnerability, courage, and connection. The letter comes from a quote by US President Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, who knows great enthusiasm, great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." Brown uses this quote to explain her central message: to live fully, love deeply, and create meaning. We must have the courage to step into the arena of life, even when it means being vulnerable, uncertain, and imperfect. This book is based on Brené Brown's 12 years of research on shame, vulnerability, courage, and worthiness. It teaches us that vulnerability is not weakness, it is the birthplace of courage, creativity, and connection. The myth about vulnerability. The biggest misconception about vulnerability is that it equals weakness. Brown begins by shattering that belief. Vulnerability is not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Being vulnerable means allowing ourselves to be seen truly with our flaws, fears, and emotions. It means saying I love you first, admitting I don't know, or trying something new that might fail. It's a willingness to risk emotional exposure. Most people avoid it because it feels unsafe. But avoiding vulnerability also means avoiding love, joy, and creativity. The armor we wear, shame and fear. Brown explains that most people live armed lives, always hiding behind perfectionism, cynicism, or control. Why? Because deep down, we all carry one core fear: I'm not enough. This fear is what Brown calls shame, the painful feeling that we are unworthy of love and belonging. Shame says, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not successful enough. When we believe shame, we start protecting ourselves through emotional armor, pretending, pleasing, performing, or hiding. But this armor doesn't protect us, it isolates us. To live a wholehearted life, Brown says we must remove the armor and face the fear of shame with courage and self compassion. Wholehearted living. Brown defines wholehearted living as engaging with the world from a place of worthiness. It means waking up and thinking, no matter what I accomplish or fail at today, I'm enough. Wholehearted people share common traits. They have the courage to be imperfect. They have compassion for themselves and others. They connect deeply because they let themselves be seen. They embrace vulnerability as necessary, not shameful. Wholehearted living is not a one time act, it's a daily practice of choosing courage over comfort, authenticity over approval, and love over fear. Understanding shame versus guilt. Brown makes an important distinction. Guilt, I did something bad, focuses on behavior. Shame, I'm bad, focuses on identity. Guilt can be healthy, it motivates positive change. Shame is destructive, it attacks your self worth and leads to silence, withdrawal, and aggression. Shame thrives in secrecy. When you hide what you feel ashamed of, it grows. But when you speak it with compassion, it loses power. That's why Brown says if you put shame in a petri dish and cover it with secrecy, silence, and judgment, it grows. If you douse it with empathy, it cannot survive. The antidote to shame is empathy, being seen, heard, and accepted without judgment. The arena is stepping into life. Brown uses the metaphor of the arena to describe life itself, the space where we show up, take risks, love, create, and lead. Outside the arena are the critics, people who judge, gossip, or tear down others. But she says if you are not in the arena, Getting your ass kicked too. I'm not interested in your opinion. This is one of the most empowering ideas in the book. You cannot live bravely and expect to avoid criticism if you show up authentically. Some people will dislike you, but that's proof you are in the arena living courageously. Vulnerability in relationships. Vulnerability is the foundation of true connection. When we hide our emotions to appear strong, we create walls instead of bonds. Brown says connection is why we are here. It gives purpose and meaning to our lives. But connection requires trust, and trust is built slowly through small acts of vulnerability, sharing a fear, admitting a mistake, asking for help. Many relationships fail because both partners fear being vulnerable. They protect themselves from rejection, but in doing so, they lose intimacy. Real love begins when two people dare to be imperfect together. Parenting and vulnerability. Brown devotes an important section to parenting. He says who we are and how we engage with the world are much stronger predictors of how our children will do than what we know or say. In other words, children learn vulnerability not by lectures but by example. If parents show authenticity, imperfection, and emotional openness, children learn it's safe to be human. If parents hide behind perfection, children learn that love must be earned by being good enough. Parenting is not about perfection, it's about teaching courage, empathy, and belonging through the way we live. The culture of never enough. Brown describes modern society as a culture of scarcity where no matter what we do, it never feels like enough. We are constantly told not thin enough, not rich enough, not popular enough, not productive enough. This scarcity mindset fuels shame and disconnection. The cure, Brown says, is worthiness, the belief that I am enough. When we believe we are enough, we stop comparing and start living. The myths about vulnerability. Brown lists several myths that stop people from embracing vulnerability. Myth 1: vulnerability is weakness. Truth: vulnerability is the courage to face uncertainty. Every act of love, creativity, or leadership requires it. Myth 2: I can go it alone. Truth: we are wired for connection. Asking for help is a strength, not weakness. Myth 3: vulnerability means oversharing. Well, truth: vulnerability is not dumping emotions, it's sharing appropriately with boundaries and from a place of self awareness. Myth 4: you can be brave without being vulnerable. Truth: bravery and vulnerability are the same. There is no courage without emotional risk. The shield of perfectionism. Perfectionism is not the pursuit of excellence, it's the fear of shame. We think if I do everything perfectly, I won't be criticized or rejected. But perfectionism doesn't protect us, it exhausts us. Brown says perfectionism is not about healthy achievement. It's about earning approval. To live wholeheartedly, we must replace perfectionism with self compassion, learning to say I'm enough even when I fail. The role of shame in leadership and work in workplaces. Brown found that shame destroys trust, creativity, and innovation. When people fear being blamed or humiliated, they stop taking risks and hide mistakes. But great leaders create cultures of psychological safety where people can be honest, take risks, and fail without fear. Brown writes vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. When leaders show vulnerability, admitting uncertainty, or asking for feedback, they inspire trust and courage in others. The power of empathy. Empathy is the most healing response to vulnerability. It means being fully present with someone's pain, not fixing, not judging, not just understanding. Brown identifies four qualities of empathy: seeing the world as others see it, being non judgmental, understanding another's feelings, communicating that understanding. Empathy says we are not alone. When we meet shame with empathy, healing begins. Joy and gratitude. Many people fear joy because they think it will be followed by pain or loss. Brown calls this foreboding joy. Example: a mother looks at her child sleeping and thinks, what if something happens to him? Instead of letting joy fill them, people rehearse tragedy. The antidote is gratitude, choosing to be fully present in joyful moments, even knowing they are temporary. Brown says joy comes to us in ordinary moments. We risk missing them when we are chasing the extraordinary. Building shame, resilience to live with courage. We must build shame resilience, the ability to recognize shame and move through it with self compassion. Steps to develop shame resilience. Recognize shame and understand its triggers. Practice critical awareness. Remind yourself of your values and realities. Reach out, share your feelings with someone who has earned your trust. Speak shame, name it, allow to remove its power. When you own your story, shame cannot own you. The call to daring. In the final chapters, Brown challenges readers to live a daring, greatly life of courage, compassion, and authenticity. She says you can choose courage or comfort, you cannot have both. To dare greatly means showing up when you can't control the outcome, loving with no guarantees, speaking your truth even when your voice shakes, failing and getting up again, living with an open heart. It's not about winning, it's about being brave enough to try. The essence of the book. Vulnerability is courage, not weakness. Shame is the enemy of connection. Worthiness is the foundation of happiness. Love and belonging are only possible when we let ourselves be seen. Perfection is a mask, authenticity is freedom. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action in the presence of it. Memorable quotes. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. You can't get to courage without walking through vulnerability. Don't armor yourself against pain. Armor blocks joy too.